The last few months I spent the most amazing time in Florence. I met some of the most amazing people. I immersed myself in such a beautiful culture. And it was only 2 weeks in when I already dreaded having to leave someday. Just the thought of packing up the suitcases and dragging them along the cobblestones, heading towards the airport, I was so sad and I didn't want that day to finally arrive. The Italians have taught me so much, mostly to just enjoy life and not to take things too seriously, which I definitely tend to do. I've learned from them to enjoy a slower pace of life and that there is beauty in things that take time. They taught me to be more generous with my things, with my time, just to have more of the sense of community that I feel like here in Germany we don't have as much of. I also learned to be more expressive with my thoughts and my emotions, especially if they're positive ones. Why not show them? I really loved how the Italians would sing if they were happy or whistle while walking down the street and would express how cute they thought this dog was. Yeah, and I felt like that radiated this kind of positivity and joy that I really enjoyed, that I'm not used to. I'm more used to people keeping their thoughts and their emotions to themselves, even if it's positive ones. And I really like that. I want to take that with me and try to incorporate that into my own life. With the last week of our about 3-month stay coming closer, we wanted to immerse ourselves in this city one last time. So we created kind of like this bucket list of things we want to do again, or things we haven't seen that we still really want to see. And slowly and surely we checked all of those boxes off. With some of our very dear friends that we had met in Florence, we went to see the Stibat Museum. It's such a beautiful villa with such a beautiful collection of a lot of different stuff by Mr. Stibat, and the whole villa was just so stunning, and I especially liked this room that was so bright, and you had this amazing view onto the terrace and the gardens down below. We also made sure to spend a lot of time just on foot walking throughout Florence. It's our favorite way to get around. You really get to see all the beautiful nooks and crannies and corners of Florence. And we of course wanted to see the Duomo at least once again or twice. It's just such a stunning building that always has me in awe. And we also spent a lot of time in our favorite neighborhood, which was down by the river Arno, between Ponte Vecchio and Ponte Santa Trinita. And even though it rained a lot in the last few days that we were there, we didn't let that stop us. Johannes even fashioned makeshift rain boots to keep his shoes dry. One of our favorite things in Florence are the vintage stores and antique markets, so those were also things that we wanted to visit one last time. They always have such amazing things and quite affordable and just amazing quality. Also, while in Florence, we indulged in a lot of cafes and cappuccinos, and again, we wanted to head back to our staple cafes and enjoy the delicious cappuccinos. I can't even count how many we've already had, and this cafe in particular also had vegan croissants, which were just an added bonus. And since it was around Christmas time that we were in Florence, we wanted to look at some of the Christmas installations in the malls and shops and stores, but also out in the streets to look at the beautiful light installations. It just had such a beautiful, homey vibe to it that, yeah, we wanted to soak up. Of course, we didn't want to miss to see the amazing statue of David in the Accademia. And we also took some bikes to ride out a little outside of the city center to the Cascina Park to enjoy some greenery. It was such a beautiful park with lots of dog walkers and people working out, and it was just a breath of fresh air from the more urban city. And something we really wanted to do was ride on this merry-go-round. We had passed it so many times and it looked like so much fun, so we decided to do this around midnight to have one last fun thing before we had to pack our bags and sadly head out to the airport. And even though we kind of had this one last hurrah and enjoyed or tried to enjoy the city one last time, I was still so incredibly sad to leave. There was this one moment where I was standing in front of the Pitti Palace and I was kind of on the brink of tears because that was the precise location where we had arrived the very first night when we came to the city. It was kind of the first big recognizable thing that I saw was Palazzo Pitti, and I was standing there again and kind of reminisced back to when we arrived and wished I could turn back time to go back to when I first arrived and got to experience everything again. I mean, the sadness that I felt in a sense was beautiful because it means that I loved something, like the city and the people in it. But at the same time, it was not necessarily all-consuming, but it did kind of drag me down and hindered me from truly experiencing and being appreciative of the moment and of the city one last time before we really had to leave. And I wasn't fully able to enjoy my last few days because I was so sad. I realized I was really attached to the city and was kind of in denial or not willing to accept the reality of the fact that we are leaving. And because I refused to accept the reality of the fact that we're leaving, I was giving or bringing myself all this pain that was, in a sense, self-created. I thought of the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and in that book he talks about how a lot of the pain that we experience is unnecessary and self-created. And when I came back, I looked up this quote that I was thinking of while I was there. The pain that you create now is always some form of non-acceptance, some form of unconscious resistance to what is. And that was exactly what I was doing. I was refusing to accept the now, and I was clinging on to the past or onto this idea of maybe I won't leave, or I was just clinging to things that weren't going to be true, and with that I was bringing myself so much sadness. And when I realized this, I tried to kind of shift my mindset from denying the reality and what is to come to, okay, we had a beautiful few months here in Florence and this chapter is coming to a close. But that's okay, because with the ending of this chapter, there comes a new chapter with new adventures and new learnings and new exciting things. Eckhart Tolle says that surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. The only place where you can experience the flow of life is the now. So to surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. And it's this surrendering or going with the flow of life that I personally have a hard time with. I'm someone that likes to have certain expectations for a day or a trip or certain things, and I tend to cling onto that expectation. And when things don't go our way, which is often the case, I find it very hard to surrender to the course that life is just going to take. Sometimes we're not in control of everything, and I really want to learn to kind of be more fluid with life and kind of, as the river bends, to bend with it, if that makes sense. And I really like these two quotes, and I think it's a constant reminder that I need, and maybe it's something that you also can relate to, or a reminder that you also find helpful. As you can see, I am back in Germany, and trying to settle in and getting myself mentally kind of ready for this next chapter that I am positive is going to hold a lot of adventure and learnings and will help me to grow as a person. I'm really excited for this new chapter. I hope you enjoyed this little insight into my life, what has happened the past few weeks, my thoughts, and what I've been kind of going through, me dealing with attachment this way. If you liked this video or thought it was helpful or could relate in some way, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to keep up with this next chapter and the coming journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.